like parking your car in certain neighborhoods in the Bronx. You just don't do it.
I was afraid of that. Then don't down.
What's up, YouTube? Today I want to talk to you about some things that Hollywood's pulling that's just ridiculous. Hollywood has, I would say since the year 2000, they've pulled some really hellacious crap, and it just gets worse and worse as time goes on. They're getting real bad about what I think is ridiculous is they're getting bad about rewriting a completely original story and then pretty much claiming it as that particular story when it's really a completely different story altogether. And they put that tag on there, like, you know, it's like they did with Ghostbusters when they redid Ghostbusters and they put an all-female cast, and they should take, you would think they would get the hint that, hey, you know, fans don't like that crap because it bombed. Just about every time they do something like that, it bombs. But to me, it's like taking an original piece of art, you know, like the Mona Lisa, just cutting out the face and then redoing the whole entire background, and then slapping it that it's the Mona Lisa on there again, when it's not, obviously. To me, that's what happens when they do that, when they take an original story and they completely rewrite the whole thing because they think they can do it better, but obviously they can't because they keep screwing it up every time they do that. It just really burns me. You're literally destroying artwork when you do that. And instead of retelling the story, the original story, which is what made it popular with the fans to begin with, they literally destroy it. You see this all the time, especially with a lot of the superhero movies they do today. None of it is the original story. None of them. They've literally rewritten every superhero's origins over and over again and told a completely different story. You know, they might leave an element of something from the original story in the movie, but for the most part it's completely different from the original story. That is not their origin story. None of these movies are. And TV's just as bad. You know, you have Marvel who's completely telling a completely different story. They've done it to Spider-Man like 3 or 4 times. They've literally rewritten the story instead of telling the actual origin story. I've seen the Venom movie that they just came out with. It's a good movie for entertainment wise and purposes, you know. I liked it. My only problem with it was the fact that, you know, the origin stories completely changed. The suit no longer was originally a part of Spider-Man. They completely wrote out Spider-Man altogether. which makes no sense because that's what makes Venom Venom to begin with. So that to me is a little dumb. But other than that, the movie was pretty good. You know, I liked it. But back to what I was saying, you know, Hollywood has literally rewritten everything they. Even if it was an older movie, the original script, the original story has been rewritten. They redo the entire thing and then slap that name on top of it because they know, you know, fans, they know people know the name and will go to see it just to see what they've done. Or sometimes they'll take little parts of a different character's stories, origin story, and mix it in with another character. They did that with the whole Arrow show, and you know they were given the Green Arrow Batman origin stories instead of Green Arrow stories. You know, just stuff like that. You know, this new Bumblebee movie. It's probably going to be, as far as entertainment-wise, you know, it's going to be a decent movie, but at the same time, again, they've changed the origin story. That is not Bumblebee's origin story, folks. Not at all. If you ever seen the cartoon or even read any of the original comic books for Transformers, it is a teenage boy and his father who stumble upon the Autobots, and they find Bumblebee, not some little girl. And the little girl didn't teach Bumblebee to talk, the boy did. So again, they've completely rewritten the whole origin story. So that's the only part of the movie I'm not really going to care for. It's the fact that they've rewritten the whole thing. But otherwise, it's probably going to be, as far as entertainment goes, it's probably going to be entertaining. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't go claiming it's the origin story when it's not. That's what irritates me. That burns me. I've had people tell me before, oh, just get over it, blah, 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 you know. Well, no, I'm not going to get over it, and neither should the fans. The fans should be outraged because that's really not the original story. And it shouldn't be allowed to rewrite an artist's original story. It's like a slap in the face. It's wrong. Like I said, you know, they're not going to take the Mona Lisa and cut out the face and redo the whole background and then claim it's still the Mona Lisa. You can't do that. It's wrong. But another thing that there's rumors going online about Hollywood redoing the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're going to cast them as an all-female cast. Again, we've seen this time and time again, and it always fails. Ocean's 8 or whatever it was with all females in it, it bombed. Again, Ghostbusters bombed. Then they tried a comedy classic like Overboard, and they tried to switch genders in that. That bombed bad. They really need to stop redoing original old movies or stories, books, and changing everything in the book. You can't do that. It makes for poor movie or television. Especially if you're going to switch genders, that's not going to work at all. Obviously, that doesn't work. Another movie that they're fixing to come out, I've seen the trailer for it. There was a movie not too long ago, a few years ago, with Mel Gibson called What Women Want, where he hit his head or something in the bathroom, and he was able to start he had like telekinetic power or telepathic powers, excuse me, where he could read women's thoughts. Now they've got a movie called What Men Want, where it stars that black woman from Empire, which is one of the worst shows on television, period. It's literally a thug music industry stories about thugs running a music industry. It's retarded. But anyways, the lead character, his wife or whatever on that show, she stars in the movie, and she goes to some gypsy, and then she ends up with telepathic powers, and she can read the minds of what men are thinking or whatever. Yeah, it's probably going to be entertaining, a little bit funny, but again, they're just switching genders, and they're trying to, I don't know, whenever there's a black lead character in a movie, almost all the time now, they try to throw it where it's practically all black people in the movie, and I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me, because that's not the way it works. You got to have a mix or a variety, in just about everything, unless you're doing a historical thing, But still, I don't know. Switching genders, it just doesn't work, and we've seen it time and time again. But Hollywood does not get it. They don't understand that people want to see the original story from the book or whatever, the movie from the past or whatever they got their story from, and tell the original story and not rewrite it. And that's what they keep doing. They keep, they're not telling the original story, they're rewriting the whole thing. And it doesn't work. And Hollywood doesn't seem to get that. And the fans keep saying something about it, but they're not listening. They don't care as long as they keep making money on it. They don't care nothing about the artistry that's put into the original story. So expect to be disappointed time and time again when they remake or redo. They call it a remake or do an origin story of one of your favorite comic book characters or something like that, or they decide to redo an old television series and turn it into a movie or something like that. You're going to be disappointed because it's not going to be anything like the original at all. They totally get rid of everything that actually is what made it famous and what made it popular, and then they're literally going to destroy it. So be leery about anything you watch like that. That's all I have to say on that. I'm just about sick of it. It's getting old. I just don't care anymore. It's so dumb that they do that. Anyways, I told you I'd tell you the truth. and you've just been told.